Hello, welcome to 15 Minutes of Consulting Best Practices. My name is Maria Isabel Rios, and I'm joined by David A. Fields. Hello, David.
Good morning, Maria Isabel, and good morning, John Gilbert, who
How
already
are you?
said hello.
Thank you for coming in early, John, and posting your comments. This is a space where we answer your questions about how to grow and create more delight for your consulting firms. Hi, friend. We're practical and tactical, and our answers are informed by our work with about 400 consulting firms now. Running. Thank you, Brad, for being prepared. This is exactly the way we like it. So it takes us a minute to see your comments. As you can see, folks who are familiar with the space are already posting their questions. And so we want to get to as many of them as possible. David, what do you say?
Yeah, sure. Let's dive in. Do you want to do whatever came in from Brad? From Bradley?
Absolutely. Let's go through it.
Bradley, is it Bradley or Brad? Tell us.
It's Brad. You ask Brad every week.
Bradley, should we call you Brad or Brad? I know I ask every time. Okay. Recently connected with college acquaintance, part of business development. In our discussion, it was articulated his firm has a set of preferred consultants to conduct work. At the end of the discussion, we discovered he's working with a portfolio company, a Portco, that is in the same niche industry as a former client of mine. Requested to schedule time together to pick my brain about a few topics. Whoops, it keeps going.
In that niche industry, and that's about all we see.
Yeah, that's all we see. We only see about a few topics in that niche industry. So we don't have the question yet. So Brad, hi, Carol. Brad, post the rest of your question. In the meantime, we'll grab one from Deidre's magic bag.
All right. Okay, so this one's for you. I'm going to put you on the hot spot.
Okay.
How do you deal with a situation where two different clients want you to do work for them, but you can't do both projects? For instance, they both need you to run a workshop on the same day, and there's no one else on the team who can run the workshop. How do you choose between them? Thank you, Brett. What do you think, David? How do you choose between two clients who want something at exactly the same time?
Okay, so first, congratulations to you, Brett, for having two clients that want to work with you at the same time. And then Brad will get back to you. So you've got two folks, maybe they both want to do a workshop on the same day. So here's some things to consider. First, clients get preference over prospects. So if one of them is a current client and says, hey, could you do another workshop? And another is a prospect. Even though you might think, well, I want to bring in more business, your obligation is to your current clients. So typically, I'll put that in their column. And let's think about some other things. I would consider the reasonableness of the request. If one client has asked you to put together a fairly easy workshop and they asked you a month ago, and the other one is saying, hey, can I have you next week? And for this challenging thing, this crazy workshop, maybe not a reasonable request in the latter case. So let's put reasonable request on the board. Whoever pays first gets dibs. So if someone's going to commit, whoever will actually commit, I think gets a step up. I would also consider, where does turning someone down create less harm? So this might be a situation where, for instance, with a longstanding client, you have something that's scheduled 2 months out, and they're okay with changing things, and you have a prospect that, like, this is our date. You say, well, there's actually less harm in changing the current client. So where does saying no, we're having to make a change, create less harm? And what else would I consider? I mean, size. If you've got a $1 million client that's asking for a workshop, and then a client that's a $20,000 client asking for a workshop, the larger client gets preference. So those are some of the things I would consider. Maria Isabel, anything you would add to that list?
Yes, I think that's exactly it. My mind went immediately to where is there flexibility? Because oftentimes we like to think of the world in absolutes, and in reality, people have more flexibility, especially if they're planning a little whiles out, than it may seem. So that's a question I would definitely ask as well. It's a good prompt for you, Brent, I think, to think about building your team. Yeah, who asked first, right? That's part of what David was calling dibs, right? And you can approach the second client saying, look, I have earmarked those days. Let me explore if there's any flexibility on that end. Let's continue the conversation, right? It's a good reminder to create a scale and build your team so that you're not a team of one finding whether you can actually be in two places at once.
Right. I think it sounds like he's got a team and everybody's used. But yeah, scale more.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Brad,
let's go back to Brad's question. Yes.
What is the best path forward here? My concern is he wants a single unpaid discussion on competitor intelligence related to my former client rather than any long-term partnership and or paid consulting engagement. All right, Marie-Isabel, you want to do that or do you want me to do that?
Hey, we can both take a stab at it.
Okay, go for it.
I think great an opportunity to reconnect, to highlight your area of expertise. There's a great recognition that now you're an expert in this matter, and the fact that they want to pick your brain, it's a good indication of the potential. We generally advocate for you being generous, right, with what you know and how you know it. So don't go at the conversation being completely guarded. And also go into it thinking, how do you create a path forward for both of you? So be prepared to make the turn if necessary. If there's a piece of work that it's right up your alley, don't be afraid. Ask for the work, right? Say, that's right up my alley and the type of work we do with our firm. Are you open to a separate conversation where we talk about doing this for the portfolio company? Okay. That's where I'm at as a starting point. David, where are you?
Yeah, we definitely want to have the conversation. I agree with you there. And I think, so I agree with you and see where it goes. You'd start any conversation with a right side of inquiry. What will make this valuable? Assuming he wants, more input background on your client. I think it is fair for you when you say, what's going to make this useful? And he says what he says, you say, okay, that's great. I also just want to be clear and explore, is there any opportunity for us to work together? A little bit like sort of variation on the turn, Marie-Isabel, I think, as you said. And if not, well, frankly, either way, I think you share, but of course you say, there's only so much I can share because I need to, I need to protect the confidentiality of my client. And so information that's generally public, happy to share. Information that in any way would compromise my client, or my ex-client, obviously I can't share that. The same as if we were working with you, we can share. But yeah, I agree. You want to have the conversation. You don't have a lot to lose. And Suzanne had how about who asked first? Yeah. Maybe you can learn from them also. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I wouldn't be overly concerned, Suzanne, about giving too much away. There's only so much you can give away in 15 minutes of conversation. And if someone can get $100,000 of value in 15 minutes of conversation, good for you and good for them. But they will probably sign up for $500,000 of value as an engagement. Right. John Gilbert, who asked first? I assume that's going back to like the
previous question.
Yeah, right. Which client? Yeah, I mean, who asked first plays some role, but who pays first or signs first plays a bigger role. Yeah.
All right.
All right. Cool. What do we have next? Keep questions coming in. Also, these are great. And Deidre, what do we have in your magic bag? Okay, let's see. If you get a decline on a proposal, how do you get that to be a new project? A client came to us with a very specific need. They decided not to move forward with it. They have other priorities. Okay, where we could probably help, but they only think of us in a narrow area. Asked Laura. Okay, what do you think, Marie-Isabel? So they're thinking, so Laura or her firm is pigeonholed.
Right.
What they work on, right, their clients said no to. What do you think?
So there's two concepts here. One, you have a no on the table, and the concept is how they view you in the context of that no. So the first thing, whether you got a no or a yes, we always want you to have a conversation after you submit a proposal and the client has made a decision. When you get a no, there's opportunities to learn, right? You can ask particular questions, what was valuable in the proposal? what would have taken for us to actually get this piece of work, and what do we do better next time so we can actually learn the work with you. That facilitates some of the conversation of how you're viewed in a pigeonhole way, because you're saying, okay, what would it take for us? And they said, it will take for you to be experts in A, B, C, D. And you say, okay, got it. So we need to highlight the expertise that we actually have in A, B, C, D a lot better. That's one way you could do that. If once you're in conversation, also do a version of the overture, which is, if there's a place to play, David, would you have interest in working with us, right? Presumably people say, yeah, of course. We love working with you guys, which is why we invited you to propose, or we think this is appropriate. Absolutely, right? Then you ask, could we have a separate conversation to talk about ways or places to play together? So you have a double opportunity there. One, tackling your no as a learning opportunity in and on itself for you, for your firm, and two, opening a little bit that aperture of how they think about your firm. David, what do you think? What do you add?
I like that. I think you could ask, in addition to that, when you do the overture, you can also ask for an opportunity to do a capabilities presentation so that you can broaden the client's view of the firm. Since Laura's firm is pigeonholed, maybe you need an opportunity to show, well, actually what we're doing for you is somewhat unusual. What we do for most of our clients is all this other stuff.
Right.
Right.
Or you only see one aspect of the work that we do for clients, and there's plenty of expertise in our firm, and we work on this other piece.
That sounds reasonable. If that made sense, or if it doesn't make sense, please put it in the chat so we'll know, or if that brings up other questions for you.
Right. Especially Laura, if you're here.
Yeah, and Laura, if you're here, that'd be awesome. Otherwise, I guess we'll go to Deidre.
Yep. Okay, David, this one's for you. I follow your advice and schedule calls to connect with my network. My contacts occasionally want to push out our scheduled calls. What should I do? From Janice.
Okay, so good for having scheduled calls with your network. That's outstanding. If someone needs to reschedule, then you reschedule. Probably. Let me actually back that up. If someone needs to reschedule for next week, or for 2 or 3 weeks, or even 4 weeks down the road, no problem. Reschedule. No big deal. If they're saying, it's October as we film this. So if they say, well, look, can we reschedule for March or June, right? Then you say, yeah, of course. Well, here's what I'd like to do. Can we keep our call even for just 5 minutes? And then we'll do our real call in 4 or 5 months or something like that. So if it's way down the road, ask them to keep the current call, and just promise them it'll be really short. That'd be my advice right there.
I am with you. Don't let 6 months go by without a conversation, even if it is at your client's request. What they're telling you is don't push for 6 months. So you commit to that and you don't push for 6 months. Yeah. That doesn't preclude you from connecting with a person.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And good on you, John, for sharing capabilities presentations. You bet. That's awesome. We almost have time for one, but we probably don't, because then we'll end up going overtime, won't we?
We will, for sure.
All right. Then in that case, thanks for coming in with questions. Brad, thanks for knowing that every single week I'm going to say Brad or Bradley. It's just how I'm built. But we appreciate all of you spending, 15 minutes with us on a Monday, which is great. We love to hear these questions at the beginning of the week. Before you go, just a couple of thoughts. On the off chance anybody here doesn't have Monday Live on your calendar, put it in your calendar. Just makes it super easy. If this is your first time, then put it in your calendar, because it makes it easy to get back here. If you don't get the weekly articles, just there, Deidre put it up there. Just subscribe and you'll get great weekly articles with wonderful advice and all that kind of stuff. And the other note is, if you have not been part of a solo practice accelerator and your business is under $1 million, you should really go to a solo practice accelerator. I know some of the folks that are here typing notes have been to one, and they would tell you should go. And so go to where Deidre put on the screen here. And if it's open, register. I think it's still waitlist. Get yourself on the waitlist because there are more people on the waitlist than there are seats. And you want to get a seat. And that's it. Thank you for being here. Have an amazing week. Remember, consulting is about them, your clients and prospects. So give them value and give them kindness. And we will see you next week. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.